Breaking in, it's Brian O'Neill from the newsroom. Well, this morning in his 11 o'clock briefing, Governor Andrew Cuomo said he wanted a certain percentage of upstate New York hospitals' ventilators. Well, we have Assemblyman Phil Palmesano on the line. Now, the latest here is that Governor Cuomo's senior advisor, Rich Azarpiti, put out a statement saying the governor now wants 20% of the hospital's ventilators out of upstate to help downstate hospitals. Assemblyman Palmesano, you've been on the phone with the governor's office. What are you telling them?
Brian, this is a very concerning issue. This was an issue that we've been aware and worried about that could happen a couple weeks ago from talking to some of our hospitals when the administration was asking for like an inventory of what they had, whether it was PPE, personal protective equipment, and ventilators. And then waking up this morning from having an email from a hospital CEO saying this is what we're concerned about. And in the morning conference call, the governor said he was going to take unused ventilators and redistribute them. Even in the press release, he said that if we don't, we'll bring them back or we'll reimburse for them. They'll never, once they leave, they don't come back because even by the governor's own mentioning, anyone on a respirator, on a ventilator is usually a COVID patient is on it for 11 to 20 days. Concerns we have is that we're all trying to work together on this. I understand that, but the governor's not asking or people to help. He's basically demanding it. When you send a message out that I'm going to send the National Guard to come take ventilators, that's not working with our hospitals. That's telling them it's the way it's going to be. On the conference call they had with them. So this morning we're taking them. Then a conference call I know he had with the hospitals this afternoon. He was asking for 10%. Then the press release says 20%. So how does that work? I mean, if you have a hospital here that has 5, so then if they're using 2 of them, then whether they take one of those? And I guess the point I'm trying to make, and a lot of our colleagues are going to try to make, just because you don't have a need for a ventilator, someone's not on a ventilator right now at this current moment, doesn't mean they're not going to be on a ventilator tomorrow, or doesn't mean they're not going to be on a ventilator in 6 hours. And I'll give you an example. I have someone I know who went into the hospital, was stable, took a downturn, a few hours later had to be on a ventilator. And under this situation, there's really a possibility that individual wouldn't be provided a ventilator. This is a very concerning issue. We understand there's a shortage of ventilators all around the state, all around the country. But I think it's just sending a very concerning message to our hospitals and our hospital CEOs. Everyone wants to be on all hands on deck approach. But when you say we're going to come take everything that you have, or pretty much all of it, or could put a dent in it, how are we supposed to stay ahead of the curve upstate when we're taking away resources that we need to deal with it? Even in Hornell, I know there's been it seems to be a hot spot. Individuals who have been intubated recently. I mean, that sends a message right there. So you don't know from 1 hour to the next how that's going to change. So our hospitals need to be prepared. Even the ones they have on hand might not be enough. But for the governor to say we're going to come take it, we're going to come send the National Guard up here to take them, that's not asking. And a statement says we're asking hospitals to loan us. Not asking hospitals to loan anything. They're telling hospitals you're going to give us this. And by the way, we'll return them. Now, once they're gone, we're not going to see them again because someone on a respirator or a ventilator is on it for 11 to 20 days. He says we're going to return it or we're going to reimburse the hospitals for them, pay for them. We don't want the money for the ventilators. We want the ventilators. And everyone is at risk. Every area is at risk. To make sure we need to have the ventilators we have. We need more, obviously, and we want to give them more that are needed. But this is this tactic of saying we're going to come take them, and that's basically, I think, the message that they're all hearing. I don't know if there's input being given from our hospitals. It just, to me, Brian, and to my colleagues, a lot of us, Tom Reed, all of us who sent out this statement concerning it, that it's the administration telling them this is the way it's going to be. There's no discussion. We all want to work together on this. No one's saying we shouldn't work together on this, but you can't just come and basically leave our upstate hospitals with no resources, personal protective equipment. Saying that there's boxes and boxes of personal protective equipment at some of these facilities. I think it's disingenuous to say that. They're utilizing the equipment they have. They need the equipment that they have. Our hospitals upstate don't have as much as they need. I know the hospitals downstate don't have as much as they need. It's just very concerning on where we are headed with this and heading down this path. So that's why Congressman Reed, myself, and a number of us put out this statement. And I think you're going to see more concerns around the state as this story continues to develop.
Assemblyman Palmesano, you've been on the phone with everyone from State Senator Tom O'Mara to State Senator George Borrello to Congressman Tom Reed in these conference calls, and Assemblywoman Marjorie Burns. Wondering, do you have a sense of how this is going to play out if Congressman Tom Reed at the national level, can he step in at all? Your thoughts?
Brian, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if anything we can do specifically to stop it. We're raising concerns and red flags about it. Obviously, the governor has a great deal of authority when it comes to how he's running the state. And in this issue, this emergency situation we're facing, I don't know if the federal government will intervene. I don't necessarily see that happening, but it's just we're trying to plea with his administration, really rethink this approach. Just basically, and to me, it sounds more like a mandate. Obviously, it seems like they've corrected the message throughout the day. Initially, it was we're getting your unused ventilators. Then it went to 10%. Now they're saying 20%. So what's tomorrow? 30%. And how do you? What if you have 5, you're using 2? Well, 20% of 3. What are they just going to take 1 no matter what, or do they? There's a lot of unanswered questions, and that's what is stoking the concerns and I think the fears, especially from our hospitals and especially from those in the healthcare industry. And I think this is something that needs to be addressed, and we need to work together. But I think the governor could have helped this message if he didn't say this morning that I'm sending the National Guard to come get your unused ventilators and personal protective equipment. That sends the wrong message. The governor has words matter. They're very powerful, and to say things like that really kind of stirs up a hornet's nest of concern, and rightfully so. So that's why we're acting. We want to make sure that the people in our communities in upstate New York, our communities, have access to the healthcare services and the healthcare equipment, and that our dedicated healthcare workers. I mean, what are they going to think if they're going to take all their personal protective equipment? Why would they want to go to work? I mean, who knows how they think? If I can't be there, if we're not going to make if it's not going to make a difference. I mean, it's just sending the wrong message. He's trying to say in his statement, we're working together. Well, the way you convey that message, you have to do a better job of doing it, and your actions have to do a better job of reflecting that. And I just think the way this message has come out of the governor today did not do that. So that's why we're speaking up and continue to speak up for our people in upstate New York. This issue is affecting us too. I know there's more cases in New York City, but certainly there are people in our county. I mean, Steuben County continues to rise. Hornell's a hotspot. Other areas are hotspots, and it's going to get worse before it gets better. I mean, so we need to make sure that each area, and how can you prepare to be ahead of the curve if you don't have the resources you need, and if they're being taken away from you? So that's where the concern is.
Assemblyman Phil Palmesano, I want to thank you very much for joining us and alerting us to this situation.
Thank you, Brian.